Welcome back to Post Sports.
On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the divisional round this past weekend, as well as what's coming up in the conference championships. We are here joined by Chris and Martine, who are our fellow fans of the NFL, and we're going to kick it off. So let's kick it off, Aidan. What's the first question?
What was your MVP for this past weekend?
I think for this week at least, I think Jaden Daniels would be my MVP. A runner-up, if the Ravens had won, would be Lamar. I have Jaden Daniels. The fact that they beat the Lions at the 6th seed against the 1st seed at the Lion in Detroit after the Lions had a whole week to prepare for that game. A high-scoring game with a bad Washington defense against arguably the best team in the league at the time. To go in there and absolutely just smoke them by 7 points is, I think,
it was
deserving
more than
of
7,
MVP.
wasn't it? It was like
I
it was like 45 to
35,
31.
38.
It was like it was 35 or lower, I think. I don't remember exactly, but I remember it was like low mid 30s to like.
Yeah, it was actually 45 to 21.
One of those was a garbage time interception, though.
Yeah, but he still had 3 back-breaking interceptions.
He did.
Jared Goof absolutely threw that game. He like the least valuable player award goes to Jared Goof.
And then they also had a non-quarterback throw the ball for an interception.
Yeah. Like Jahmyr Gibbs was trying his heart out, but like Jared Goof, like Jaden Daniels still scoring 45 points on the Lions. It's like sometimes that's really good, sometimes it's really bad. Because like sometimes the Lions come out and you see what they did against like the Vikings, and they kept the Vikings to 9 points. And then sometimes it's like, oh yeah, they just scored like 45. Like they've had their defense like during the middle of the season, or was it early on in the season or middle of the season? They got like shootouts. Or maybe that was last season. Where it's like each team scored like 40 points, but it's usually like the Lions got like the upper hand at the end. But like I feel like scoring a lot of points against the Lions defense is
the Vikings had just played against them in 2 weeks prior and didn't really put up anything. They had I don't remember the exact score, but I swear they had sub 10 points.
Are you talking about the Lions Viking game? Yeah, it was 9 to 30 something.
Yeah, so I would argue that scoring that much against the Lions defense is a good.
I'm not taking this away from Jaden Daniels. It's just that the Lions usually have quite a few points scored against them. Like their defense isn't usually like super crackdown. Like I wouldn't consider the Lions defense, especially without like Aidan Hutchinson. And like just kind of like injured and stuff like that. Like they were getting people back, but it's still like I still wouldn't consider them one of the best defenses. I think
the fact for me is the win into Detroit against the number 1 seed.
Oh yeah, no, that too. And then they still
the Washington
blew them out.
Commanders, who last year had the 2nd round draft pick. So
yeah, literally, yeah.
That would be my MVP.
What No Dan Schneider does to a franchise.
Lamar had won that game against the Bills, it would probably have been him, but they did not.
Yeah, because he was like Lamar was pretty good in the game, but Josh Allen was also pretty good.
I couldn't agree with you guys more. I think just overall, Jaden Daniels just had a monster game against the Lions, and you can't really stop somebody who's just gonna be constantly going and making great plays one after another. And yeah, it was an impressive performance for Jaden Daniels for being a first-year rookie, already in the playoffs, going to the conference championship game. I mean, it's a crazy to think about. And that's why I have him as my MVP.
Washington go to the Super Bowl for the first time in 33 years.
So I was gonna say this next game coming up is Washington Eagles, right?
Yes.
That's going to be a very interesting thing because I feel like
Yeah, so I can start with you, Chris. What went wrong in the Texans-Chiefs game? What maybe it was due to penalties or bad calls by the refs? What went wrong, Chris? Give me your thoughts.
I think first you have to look at the Chiefs as the number 1 seed with a bye, and you played that poorly against a team that wasn't even expected to go past the wild card round. You really have to look at the Chiefs and how the Texans scored that many points to begin with. The Texans went into the playoffs expected to be a first round boot. And the fact that beat the Chargers, I mean, congrats. But they weren't expected to win that game. And the Chiefs were always expected to win the divisional game. But the Chiefs performed horribly, even with the Zebras on their side. It was pretty pathetic, to be honest. A pathetic display. Unfortunately, they do have a really good defense, and their offense can play sometimes. But it's really going to be this upcoming week's game, that tells you how good the Chiefs actually are against Buffalo. Has this been a charade this entire time, and they've been storing it for this moment? I don't think so. I think this is going to be the Chiefs last week, to be honest.
What about you, Martine? What are your thoughts?
So like the whole I hate the Chiefs purely because like you can tell that like they get away with so many of their wins, but you can't say that they didn't fully deserve all of them. Like they were just the better team. Like even if they were playing absolutely abysmally, they're still playing so much like smart, like annoyingly smart football. Like they just keep getting win after win. And like this game, like it wasn't particularly like the Chiefs got like what, like 10 more points than they got quite a few more points than the Texans. Like they were in the 20s. Texans, like there were a lot of like BS penalties like that. Those two on Mahomes are just like, all right, bud. Like nobody likes to see that. There's a reason that like Twitter blows up every time you like look at it after the game, and everyone's just like, the refs are always on the Chiefs side, and I can't even deny that. But at the same time, like the Texans lost the game because of like themselves as well. Like I don't think it was. I think the Texans just didn't play as well as the Chiefs did. Like the stats appear better, but like the Chiefs just play smarter football where so they don't need all of the stats to win, which is really annoying. And you've seen that, I feel like, the entire season where it's like they're like 15-2 or something like that.
Yeah, I believe so.
And it's purely because they're not playing like their best football. Like they're getting lucky. And so like some of the games are pure luck. But at the same time, like their defense plays really, really well sometimes. And like the offense does what it needs to just scrape out a win. And I thought like once the playoffs hit, they were going to actually ramp it up a bit. And like to a certain extent, that kind of did happen. Like they actually started using Travis Kelce for the first time, and he like had that, he was just wide open, and he got like a bunch of different runs and like catches, and he was good.
I would attribute that more to the play call, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, I mean,
to be fair, the Texans weren't expecting him to be used so as much.
Well, I mean, he was also just wide open. That probably was like a bit of blown coverage as well. Like he was just wide open right there. But like I'd say that like in my opinion, the Chiefs, like I thought the Chiefs were gonna put everything out like in the playoffs. Like they were like holding back to like not like just to rest their starters basically in the regular season. Somewhat like not resting them obviously because you still have to play football games and win football games, but like they just weren't trying as hard as they needed to because they could win because they're that good. But now it's like they didn't. I guess that you can say they did what they needed to against the Texans, so they didn't have to go all out. But I agree with you 100%. Next week we'll see who the Chiefs really are. Like, are they the underperforming like three-peats? Like are they going to miss the three-peat because they're underperforming and they've just been kind of meh all season, like not impressive. Like you can't look at a Chiefs win and go that was impressive this season. I feel like
you also have to. There's also the fact: are they putting out their best effort, or are they not? I feel like by
I'd
now
say
in
they
the playoffs,
aren't.
I think in the playoffs by now they played, in my opinion, worse than when they did in the regular season. And to do that in a playoff game, even if it's against the Texans, I think that shows that they're not as good as this superficial, like mystifying thing, like this shroud is making them feel like they're going to be. I don't think they're that good.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You can go.
I mean, I just think that like they're not like I agree with you. They're not putting out their best football. I just think like maybe again, they really need to play the Bills right now. Like
Yeah.
this game is truly like it's so hard to say like are they like frauds? Like are they just because they're 15-2. That's like the best like record, but they've been playing such meh like it's smart football, but it's not entertaining. It's not good like stat wise, but they just keep winning. Like it's
Right.
just win after win after win after win. And sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's like you can tell like the Chiefs outplay them like most of their opponents, and it's not they're not even outplaying they're outsmarting their opponents. It's baloney. But it's annoying to watch because it's just like why can't everyone else like just be think like that? Like it's like sometimes you're watching a game and you just go, that's such a smart thing. Like it's not a fun. It's almost like bordering on like not like not illegal, obviously, but like
There,
especially the refs, like their connections with the refs and like the way they abuse calls sometimes, and like they're like just close enough where you can't say they did something wrong, but you could say, oh come on, or something
there's
that isn't quite. It's
there's also the fact that I will admit they did get 15 wins. A lot of those wins, I believe I can't remember where it is, but they'd be like 3-14 if scores that were swapped within the last quarter. If scores that were one score away, the result was swapped, they'd be like 3-14 or something like that. But they did win those games, and that's what makes them strong. But does that make them better than a team that, first off, beat them in the regular season? And does that make them a team that can kick it into high gear in a game this Sunday against arguably what was the second, if not the strongest team in the regular season?
True
yeah.
that.
So like didn't I feel like the Bills usually have the Chiefs number in the regular season because didn't they beat them in the regular
They
season
did.
last season as well?
They did.
Yeah,
And
and
also
then when it comes to the playoffs,
Buffalo's
yeah,
going to come into this game with an extra flare of fire since it's 3 AFC championships or 3 times they've lost to
they've
the
lost a
Chiefs in the
lot of times
playoffs.
to the Chiefs, yeah. But I mean, it's like there was the
I
whole like Burrow thing, where it's like Burrow was undefeated against the Chiefs in the playoffs, and then that got reversed
I
last
mean that could
season or
happen
the
this year, but for the Chiefs.
that could absolutely happen. Yeah, it depends. It really depends on how the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is like I hate to say it, but he's kind of that guy. Like
No.
I'd say like they're not they aren't playing impressive football, but they just keep winning. Like they know what they need to do to win.
He is not that guy this year. Not even the fact
Yeah.
that he was in MVP conversations this year was, I mean, mind blowing to most people.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing MVP caliber, but I mean, winning 15 games is still like
The Bills did win 14, I believe.
and Josh
And
Allen
they
played
won
far more
those games.
impressively,
They didn't
which
they didn't squeak out those games. They won those games.
exactly, yeah. So that's why like Josh Allen is way more deserving of the MVP than Patrick Mahomes because he looked more impressive in all of those wins and because he got like one less win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a matter of fact that the Chiefs have been squeaking out of games all season long. They've been lucked out on a lot of calls by the refs, and I think the Bills have just been a more consistent team on both sides. So, and if the Chiefs win this game, you could say that it was because of the refs and maybe their bad calls. But regardless, whoever wins, they go to the Super Bowl.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
And
Alex.
like
one quick little last thing. I'm pretty sure the Chiefs won 2 games in a row due to some sort of missed or blocked kick during the
yes.
regular season.
Yes, and they won. The only reason they won the Ravens game is because Isaiah Likely's toe was just out of
Yeah.
bounds.
Yeah.
Like the Chiefs have gotten away with a lot. Like I think the Bills have shown that they are like they've put up far better performances just overall in the entirety. Like it's the Bills like I think if the Chiefs manage to beat the Bills, I'm there's a part of me that isn't going to be surprised, honestly, but at the same time, just comparing how the 2 seasons have gone for them, it's still going to be like a shocker. Like, wow, that underperforming, underwhelming Chiefs team beat the Bills again. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And like if they do that, that's honestly going to be so frustrating for me just as a fan. It's like you don't have to play your best football in a season to just win it all. And I'm really hoping that Kansas City loses and the Bills just play out of their minds like they have been all season.
Yeah, I think
Patrick
Aiden has
Mahomes
some
is
thoughts
smart.
too as
Oh,
well.
yep.
So
Aiden.
What is the biggest upset of the weekend?
I I think this is a pretty clear. It's obviously the Commanders murdering the
Yeah, yeah.
Lions.
I don't
There
think.
really wasn't an upset outside of that, to be honest.
Yeah,
I
like
think the Rams and the Eagles was maybe the closest, but I mean the Commanders beating that team, the number one seed who played amazingly throughout the regular season, that was easily the best upset.
yeah,
yeah, I think that's there's no questions about that. It's just it was one of those games where it's like you weren't expecting it because you figured, oh, the Lions are a really good team, probably gonna beat the Commanders, but Commanders were coming off of a really big win, um, and they just against the Buccaneers, and they were just already hot from the start, and Jaden Daniels was just had a monster game. Yeah, he's a god. Yeah, exactly.
I really thought the Bucks were going to win that game. By the
Oh,
way, I
1000%.
was such a Baker Mayfield fan through the season. Oh my
yeah.
god!
I mean, the whole thing was I like the Bucks were playing like they weren't playing. They just weren't playing like they were last season.
It's
Like,
like the opposite of the Chiefs. They got unlucky. Were in games that were close. The
yeah, and then they
Chiefs,
got quite a few injuries as well, the Bucks, and then
yeah,
it's just kind of like the Bucks were so close to winning that game against the Commanders too.
yeah.
Like they were so close to winning it, but in the end, like Jaden Daniels got it done. Baker Mayfield fumbled like in a horrible spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so close, but in the end, like the Commanders won, and like the Commanders have just kind of shown that they've got drive, they've got hunger, they want to win games, they want to win, and they have such the fact that it's such a young like rookie just straight from the draft, like
Mm-hmm.
it's super impressive how far they've gotten, especially considering like nobody thought the Commanders were anything at the beginning of the season. It's like, oh yeah, they just got off like a horrible season. They've traded away a bunch of people. Like there's there's new ownership and blah blah blah. Like nobody had any expectations for them. So the fact that they've been playing so hard with like so little in comparison, like no those like big superstar names, like Jaden Daniels, basically.
Mm-hmm.
What is your prediction for the conference championship games?
Martine, I'll let you start for once.
Okay. So I I want the Bills to win. So I'll put the Bills. Like I think the Chiefs, like I would not be surprised if the Chiefs won. I'm like but I really think that like if there's a season where the Bills are going to win it, I think it's going to yeah, it could be this one, yeah. It's like the Bills have like if it feels like they have the momentum. They've just but you never know. It's the Chiefs. There's gonna be all the devil magic that's been going on. The refs are probably gonna be on the Chiefs side. There's probably gonna be one or two major like calls that like gets like Twitter and like just the entire NFL fan base up in arms. But like if the Bills just do what they've been doing, like I think the Bills can win that, and I want them to win. And then Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Like I feel like that's not a controversial statement, but
That's definitely a
Saquon,
hot take,
is
but
it?
I'll
Is
let you
it?
continue. It definitely is, but
It
I'll
might
let you
be a hot
continue.
take, okay, but like Jaden Daniels, I would rather have Jaden Daniels than Jalen Hurts, especially since Jalen Hurts was not looking like I'm pretty sure he got like something messed up his leg during the Rams game. Like he was really struggling in the second half of the Rams game just to keep up.
And just
Like
to chime in too, I mean, I also think it's just the fact that he just wasn't like even against the Packers in the first round. He didn't seem like he was playing fully to his potential. And then obviously with the Rams game as well, it was too close of a game to really like see where he's at. And
Well, I mean, he
just,
hurt his leg. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. He hurt his leg during the Rams game. So you have to hope that he's recovered from that. But like he really lost a lot of mobility. And one of the things that actually makes like that one of Jalen Hurts' better sides is the fact that he usually is fairly mobile, isn't he? Like he's
he's one of those running quarterbacks, just like Lamar and a few others.
Yeah, but like Jalen Hurts can throw the ball. Like that, like
Yeah.
he made it to a Super Bowl. But like I've just been more impressed by like Jaden Daniels, considering Jaden Daniels has a worse team overall than the Eagles. But I think the Eagles are just gonna scrape out a win because like they have Saquon, they have a really good wide receiver room. Like their O line is so good. Like I think the Eagles have more cards. It's really up to the defense because if you can stop like the passing game for Jaden Daniels, or if the Washington defense can't stop Saquon, like I don't have the stats for either of their defenses up right now. Like I don't know what position each are, but I know the Eagles. Like I just think like the Eagles from a
Eagles, I believe the Eagles are first place. I think their defense was the best in the league, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
that
not
also can
surprising.
play a factor. They're a really good football team, but
yeah. Yeah,
again, you
so I
also
think the Eagles are gonna win, and it's gonna be a Eagles hopefully Bills Super Bowl, but we could I feel like just as easily see a rematch of like 2-3 years ago.
So which one do you think it's going to be though?
yeah. So
Like
what are your predictions for
truthfully,
this coming
what's
weekend?
your truthful prediction, Martine? What is it?
It's so tough. Just oh man. Uh I can't shake this just nagging feeling that the Chiefs are gonna win, so I'll say Chiefs. I'd be
Chiefs,
lying
Eagles.
if I said the Bills fully. I want the Bills to win so desperately, but I can't in full consciousness say that they're going to win.
As for the Buffalo's Chiefs game, conference game, I think my take on that was pretty clear a while ago. You can probably guess that. I think the Chiefs are fraudsters. I think they've been frauding their way all the way to the conference championship. I think the Bills. I don't think they're going to blow them out, but I do think the Bills are going to win. Maybe not. I want to say comfortably, but probably not comfortably. And I think it'll be somewhere in both teams, somewhere in the 30s. I think Chiefs will probably put a lot of their resources into this game to try to win it. But I still think the Bills will come out and end up winning it and going to the Super Bowl. And I think my take has been pretty clear throughout this conversation. As for the Eagles Commanders game, I actually was more inclined to pick the Eagles before someone reminded me of that Packers game. I'm still going to choose the Eagles here because I think their defense is too good for the Commanders to really take a hold and abuse it. I think the Commanders will put up a really strong fight, especially because these guys are division rivals. I think Jane Daniels will put on a show, but I don't think they're going to have enough to beat the Eagles, especially after they came out of a rough game last game. And while it wasn't the best performance for the Eagles, it was really in the snow, if you remember. The Eagles against the Packers wasn't exactly the best performance for the Eagles either, but they did come out winning. And the regular season for the Eagles has been phenomenal. I think they're going to have enough to beat the Commanders. I think it's going to be a good show, though. I think it'll be the better of the. Honestly, I think both games are going to be pretty good. So I think it'll be a Buffalo Eagles Super Bowl.
What are your thoughts, Aidan?
Washington will go to the Super Bowl because Gina Daniels is a god and Josh Allen is an MVP.
And so, who do you think is going to be going for the Chiefs and Bills game?
The Bills, of course.
That's a fair take.
That is a fair take.
I think I want to go the same way with Aiden. I do have confidence in the Commanders, because the Eagles are just seem like that team where they just, even though they have a first, their defense is the best in the league. I think because Jaden Daniels is so hot right now, I think he'll do better than Jalen Hurts, and I think he'll get through. It just doesn't seem. I don't know. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but I just have more faith in Jaden Daniels because he seems like he's just on a roll right now. He just keeps winning, and same with the Eagles. But I don't. They're one of those teams where I don't really like them, just simply because they beat my team. But they're also just one of those teams where I just there's been a few flukes here and there, and with the Packers game and with the Rams game as well, it being so close, I have a feeling that something like the Commanders, a team like the Commanders, are going to knock them off and make it to the Super Bowl. So I do it, and I also, and then to go on the other side with the Chiefs and Bills game. I just don't like the Chiefs, and I just want the Bills to win. They're just a better. I just think that they're a better football team. They're a little more consistent this season, and I think they're going to win it. It's going to be a really close game for both games, but it could go either way. But in the end, whoever wins, they're going to the Super Bowl. And that's an achievement.
Thank you guys again for coming on to the show. We really appreciate it. And those of you who are all listening to the podcast, thank you very much for listening and hearing our thoughts and opinions about the NFL playoffs. We hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you soon in the next episode of Pro Sports.